one of the best pieces of advice I got from reading The E-Myth by Michael Gerber was that people fall into three categories. And you're either the technician, the one doing all the work, right? You're the manager, or you're the entrepreneur. And he says most people in business, when they start their own company, one of the greatest mistakes that they make is that they spend their time doing the technician's work versus the entrepreneur's work. And you're like, well, dude, there's nobody, I don't have people I can hire to do that. This is a challenge because when we are working at a place and we say, I think I could do this, right? I think I could do this job, right? I'm a cook. Let's say I work at a pizza restaurant. I'm making all the pizzas. I'm the main chef. And I'm like, I think I could do this for myself. And then that person leaves to go start their own business. He says and I recommend the E-Myth for every single entrepreneur or business owner out there. It's a phenomenal book. But if you're going to go start a business, now all of a sudden the priorities of that business is where you need to spend the majority of your time, which is marketing, branding, sales, profit and loss, management, staff development, leadership development, and it's less time making the actual pizza. And that's one of the biggest reasons that you see a lot of small business owners kind of fail along the way, and some go out of business. Some will manage, will manage the process, and they'll be able to be functional and have maybe one shop and work that shop. And if they love what they're doing, it's obviously better working for yourself if you love what you're doing and you're going to do that task than working for somebody else. But a lot of times there's a big burnout, and they don't have that getting to the next level. And then they end up, unfortunately, kind of buying themselves a job, right? That's why you see a lot of business owners where there's that statement or that quote that says, you don't own the business owns you. And you'll hear, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talk about this. And he says, are you self-employed or are you a business owner? And one of the questions that he asks is, if you left for 6 months and you came back, would you come back to find your business more successful, less successful, or closed? And if you're not developing other people to be able to do what you know how to do as good or better, right, then you're basically guaranteed to have to do that task. And so when a person opens a business, they end up putting 70% into the technician's time, 20% into the manager's time, and 10% into the entrepreneur's time. What the entrepreneur does, the CEO, the visionary, the business owner, right? And he says it should be flipped. 70% should go into the entrepreneur time, 20% into the manager, and 10% into the technician. And the challenge with that is that most people don't have the capital to be able to pay somebody to do that job. So it's something for you to say, okay, well, I am thinking about opening a business. This is something for me to think about. Who would do that technician's job, that actual job, if I was to start that business? Now, there are some where, hey, I just want to do that job, right? I love being a mechanic. I want to open up my own shop, and I'll work on one car at a time. The challenge may be that when you finish that working on that car, that there's not another car to work on at that time, because when somebody needs a car to be fixed, they need it fixed typically right now. And so you're kind of stuck scaling the business with being able to handle what your capacity is, unless you have the ability to hire other people. And if you're going to hire those other people, they're going to have to be trained to do a good job because they're putting your name on it. And so that means that while you're busy working, doing the job, you have to be hiring other people, training them, equipping them, teaching them, showing them how to do that with you, so that when that opportunity comes up to have a second client, you have somebody to support that process. So you constantly have to be in the recruiting or hiring and training and leadership development, so that and then you have to constantly be marketing, so that when you have another client that's ready for your product or your service, you have somebody to be able to support that sale. And eventually, if you've trained so many people to be able to do that job, then you could spend less time doing that job and more time running that business. And so if you're a small business owner and you're saying, how do I start, getting ready to grow my business? It starts with that awareness first. And then you have to say, okay, the things that I do, how am I being able to document these steps or processes? How can I facilitate maybe software, technology, or tools to be able to condense this time. Maybe I do need to hire somebody to do this role, and I have to document my process on what I expect them to do. Maybe I have to record video series on how to do this, or maybe I need to hire somebody to be a manager for my business and create a compensation system where I say, hey, here's where we are, here's where we're going, here's what I could afford to do now, but here's maybe what we could do in the future if you're willing to go on this journey with me. So it's all about being honest upfront with people about what your vision is, where you're going, what you're trying to accomplish. If you have a goal of that, you will find people that are great support people to come along your journey and be able to support you in doing those things to be able to help scale and grow the business. And then down the road, now there is more of an opportunity for them to be compensated at a higher level because now the business itself is profitable. And those people, those are the most loyal people because they've been with you from the very beginning when you didn't have the capacity to pay them all that big money. And then you end up seeing that, hey, that's why those guys make that big money down the road. Obviously, if you're a major corporation, different story because you've already gone through this process at one time. Somebody did. But I think that was very effective for me to analyze and be able to look at every activity I did through my day and ask myself, am I the entrepreneur? Am I the business owner? Or am I the technician right now? And how do I spend more time? How do I shift that time to go more into that entrepreneur mentality, but also task and less technician so that I can grow the company? If growing the company is something that's important to you, I hope this helped you analyze how you're spending your time. I hope you'll go invest in purchasing that book. We don't make money selling the book. We're not making any kind of referral credit. Go get that book for yourself if you're a business owner. Analyze it. It could be something that changes your entire business. If you found value in this, please subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you on our next video. Take care, everybody.